The Mark. A man touches the earth with his physical feet, but he touches life with his psychological feet. His most external psychological level is sensual, a matter of sensation, a matter of the senses. That is, his most external thinking and feeling arise from what he perceives from sense. This level represents the feet of his psychological being as distinct from the feet of his physical being, and the kind of shoes that cover his feet represent his particular views, opinions, and attitudes that he wears or uses in his approach to sense-given life. Without your five senses, external life would not exist for you. But how does a man walk the earth? We speak here psychologically. How does his outermost psychology relate itself to external life? Now, a man who understands life only through the evidence of his senses is not a psychological man. He is a sensual man. His mind is based on sense. This is called elsewhere the mind of the flesh. Honous te sarkos, Colossians 2:18. In such a case, he thinks from his feet and has no head. Most particularly, he thinks from what shoes cover his feet. This is his form of truth, different in different cases, but at the same order or level. He is as yet far from being a man. He thinks literally. He takes, say, a parable literally. But to become a man, one must begin to think apart from literal sense. What is significant to anyone who craves internal development is to think psychologically. Why, for example, is it said so often in esoteric literature, as in the scriptures, that a man must remove his shoes before entering a sacred place? It means that the sensual mind cannot understand psychological truth. So he is told to remove his shoes, that is, his sense-based truth, because the mind based on the senses and the truth formed from their evidence is not capable of comprehending a higher order or level of truth, that is, psychological truth. To put the matter in other terms, the physical man cannot comprehend the spiritual man. So when it is said that it is necessary to take off one's shoes before entering a sacred or holy place, it signifies that the sensual cannot comprehend the spiritual. Sensual thought cannot touch a level above itself. Another kind of thinking is required. The mind is at different levels, and its lowest level cannot grasp the working of higher levels. To try to understand psychological truth with the lowest, most external level of the mind is impossible. So those shoes must be removed when entering into the sphere of knowledge above sense knowledge. To drag psychological understanding down to the level of sensual understanding is to destroy everything in man that can lead to his internal development and make him a man inwardly. People try to understand God and the divine with their sensual mind. They try to understand with their shoes, not their head. When the angel appeared to Moses in the burning bush, he said to Moses, "Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground." Exodus 3:5. And when the angel with a drawn sword stood before Joshua, when he came to Jericho, he said to Joshua, "Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy." Joshua 5:15. The disciples of Messiah, who were sent out to preach the gospel, had to go without shoes, provided neither shoes. Matthew 10:10. A man has an organized physical body given to him. He then comes under the organization of the civilization to which we belong. This social organization is kept going by means of laws. A man commits murder. The laws of his country condemn him. But man has not a psychological body. He has no inner organization. He obeys the laws out of fear and for the sake of avoiding scandal. In himself, if all restraints were abolished, he would murder those he hates. Hate is a deep factor. In one sense, it's possible to say we all hate one another. We are told, "Thou shalt do no murder." Exodus 20:13. Literally taken, this command is kept because of the fear of consequences. Psychologically, it means that one must do no murder in one's thoughts or feelings. It is just in this inner sphere that the inner development can take place. It is the psychological meaning of the command. The psychological man is constantly the theme of vision, parable, and dream. He is divided variously into outer and inner parts. This is the same as lower and higher levels. The head represents the highest or inmost division of the psychological man. To mix the thinking of the feet, or the shoes, with that of the head, is to confuse two levels. The thinking of the feet forms the shoes and is sensual, and so it concerns the outer objects of sense. The thinking of the head is psychological, and so concerns the inner meaning of things. These two orders of truth are not contradictory, but become so if they are viewed as opposites. They are not opposites, but they are on different levels. So there are different forms of truth on different levels. But if a man thinks only from his feet, he cannot understand levels. He thinks only on one level, and so turns things into opposites which are not opposites. So it comes about that when people lose all sense of levels of higher and lower, the world turns into opposites and violence. In psychological language, clothes, coverings, garments denote what the psychological man wears, that is, what truth he follows. So the naked man is man naked psychologically without mental clothes. He is the man without a psychology, without any kind of truth. It is said in Revelation, "Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame." Revelation 16:15. The meaning is psychological, not physical. But what must be clothed? In one place it is said that the king was naked. When the Son of Man shall come into his glory and all the angels with him, then shall he sit on the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all the nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as the shepherd separateth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Matthew 25:31. By the king, then, something in oneself is meant. Many assume they follow truth, but what in them does? The question apparently is the king in oneself clothed? It seems the king is there already, and it is a question of clothing him or not. This king in oneself is either naked or clothed. Also, people do good without knowing it. That is from goodness. Does not the parable go on to say, Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Master, When saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or athirst, and gave thee drink? And when saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? And when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it unto one of these my brethren, even these least, ye did it unto me. Matthew 25:37. We understand that the physical man is composed of visible flesh and blood and bones. We do not understand that the psychological man is composed of invisible thoughts and feelings and desires. What he thinks and desires determines the quality of the psychological man. But while the given physical body is ordered and can work harmoniously, the psychological body is not given and is by no means ordered. A man may think one thing, feel another, and desire a third. From this point of view, man's task is to bring about order in the psychological body, which is in disorder. For this reason, there has always existed a literature, under various guises, that does not refer to the physical, but the psychological man. As, for example, the fragments of teaching preserved in the Gospels and many other fragments. But again, we're going wrong because this psychological man is in some way already there in us. Only we have to clothe him. Shall we say then that he is either naked or wrongly clothed? And that the task is to cover him from foot to head in the right garments? Recollect that the king apparently is there, either naked or clothed, and that in those cases where he is left naked, the person has failed, and in those cases where he is clothed, the person has not failed. To purify the thinking, change the mind, is symbolized by washing with water. This is washing the mind from the senses. The basin is the receptive vessel to hold the water, to concentrate in. The feet are the lowest mind in contact with the external world. This must be changed in this life. After that, he poureth water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter said unto him, Master, dost thou wash my feet? Yeshua answered and said unto him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter said unto him, Thou shalt never wash my feet. Yeshua answered him, If I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter saith unto him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yeshua saith to him, He that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit. And ye are clean, but not all. John 13:5. The mark. You have been listening to Jackson Snyder Presents on Hebrew Nation Radio.